There we go. Okay. One last test here. That works. So I remember a technique about how to do shading, and one of it was to do one of the notes that I remember coming across was to do shadows in a parallel line to the rays of light. And for the longest time, I did perpendicular, and I still do it by default. I'm trying to do it parallel to where the light source is coming from this time, and I think it helps out a lot. And I didn't really realize until someone mentioned that I realized that is indeed how light works. I find that fascinating. Shadows will be cast away from light. So if you have a bump, whether it's anything from a mountain to a a bump on leather, it's going to cast a shadow. And so thus, it's going to cast a shadow like this, away from the light. Interesting little pointer that I need to remember, because I keep forgetting that. As normal, there's a couple of theological, philosophical questions I want to kind of raise. Maybe not a whole lot tonight. I want to try and get as far as I can on this as possible. So until we have folks that are going to be watching and interacting, I'll try not to focus on rambling. I have to say try, because I know that down deep I struggle with that a lot. So on that note, going silent until later on. There's something I want to ramble about tonight. It's manifesting. It's about the concept of manifesting. Now, when I first heard that term, I had no idea what it was referring to. It wasn't until months ago that I actually became familiar with it, as a word that is. But I was familiar with the idea, and it's a dark idea. If you were to ask the people that try and manifest things, you would hear them say that, oh, no, it's completely legitimate. Oh, you just don't understand. It does exist. And I would say that is incorrect. It is not true. It is not real. It is a form of modern day witchcraft. And imagine my surprise when I found out that there are several so-called Christians who are trying to manifest things. I say so-called because there are a lot of areas in Scripture which basically warn us against that sort of stuff. So thus raises the question, is there something to it? Why do so many people do it? And is it really all that harmful? Well, start with, yes, it is harmful. It's exceedingly harmful. And I've seen it destroy people because they just assume that they can make things happen if they will it enough. But I'm baffled, though. And this is the reason why I want to raise it. I'm baffled at the number of people that I have encountered that are trying to manifest something in one way, shape, or form. And they'll say all sorts of interesting catchphrases to try and cover up what it is that they're trying to do. But it doesn't change the fact that they're trying to conduct this form of paganism. Manifesting is, well, it presents a lot of problems. One of the biggest problems is it requires you to do everything, and it is denying God his role in everything. So Christians will try and add a twist on it. Oh, well, I'm manifesting through the Holy Spirit, and they'll try and twist the words around. It's still the same thing. Still just as problematic. You're just trying to make it seem like you're not in a cultish sort of behavior. And I'm not saying that you don't plan and try and strategize and set your mind to something. I'm not saying that. But trying to treat it as if you can somehow conduct this sort of spell to make things come about, that does get wrong. And there are some people out there that they really do believe that somehow they are doing something good and honorable by trying to manifest stuff. And I just look at it and I think, you don't understand. I cringe at that. People do not understand just how dark of a path they are on. It really gets to me, though, when I see people making massive decisions for their family or business, and they're trying to manifest something. They're like, oh, I'll just will it to happen, and then I'll be successful. Then I'll make the money. Then I'll be popular. Any number of things. And in the end, all they're doing is they're giving the devil a foothold and saying, I want to not live by what the scriptures tell me to do, which is to have faith and to trust that God knows best. And it saddens me because so many people are blinded by popular teaching and they don't realize this terrible mistake. Now I understand. This world is full of things that are going to cause us to doubt and to get lost. I definitely do believe that. But this is something that is fairly blatant, fairly clear that we're supposed to we are to seek God's will. Our will is supposed to bend to his. We're not meant to define what is supposed to happen for us. You can't manifest a mansion for yourself. Some people claim to, and if they do, then it's based upon sorcery, and it will not benefit them. But you have to think about this stuff, because we're in an age that is where this teaching is everywhere. And that's maybe why I didn't quite realize it at the time. I didn't hear the teachings of it. And then I suddenly started to hear it, and I started to see it everywhere. And it made me start to wonder, how many people are making massive life decisions using this sort of concept? Now, I think I've encountered some people that have ruined their lives with it. Now, I don't know for certain, so thus I can't say like the full story about how it happened. You know that I try to tell the full story about something as best as I can. I cannot tell that story for these people, but I can definitely say that I've seen enough that gives me pause to think that something is amiss with them, and I can sense that it has to do with this manifesting stuff. People who didn't get what they wanted. Now, there was a woman on social media. This is where this whole issue is kind of coming from for me. There's this woman on social media that came across my feed, and she was mentioning about how she was manifesting all these different things for herself and how she was teaching other people how to manifest stuff. And the whole time I'm thinking, wow, this is stupid. And I watched it and listened because I was kind of curious what it is that people were encouraging. And then I looked at their social media feed and realized, dang, these people really are trying actively to carry about these pagan rituals. There were so many people there that were saying, yes, I've been using it. Oh, I was able to do this, do that with it. I thought, that's wrong. So wrong. And there was just so many people that were doing it. It was baffling to me that there could be so many people trapped in that ideology. Now, it's hard to be able to help people out of that. Honestly, there's a lot of people that are going to want the comfort of believing that they can manifest stuff. I do say comfort of it because there is something there. It's a great sort of feeling that you can, oh, well, you have problems, you just manifest them away, or whatever it is, the term that they use for it. But it doesn't ever really say that, hey, you got problems, maybe stop to ask why you have those problems. Ask God, what are you supposed to learn from it? That puts not a burden on yourself to try and overcome it. It puts really your heart, it makes your heart open to understand the reason for it all. And hopefully you will get clarity of that. The manifesting concept, though, like there was one of the things that this woman was talking about was how she was manifesting a mansion for herself. And she did not have a mansion, but she was going to manifest it, and by gum, it was going to happen one day. Imagine if you were to fast forward several years and see the person later on. I guarantee you she will not be in a mansion. I guarantee you she's not going to be happy. I'm not saying it because I want it that way. I'm not trying to manifest it for her. No, I'm looking at trends based upon what happens when you try and challenge really God's plan for you. You cannot manifest something and expect that God is going to just overlook it. I've yet to hear something where a person manifests something and everything goes smoothly. There's always a rest of the story. And you never find out how long they have something. There was a guy who was manifesting a fortune, and it turned out he was just borrowing stuff for social media so he could try and get a following so he could manifest his fortune. Ridiculous. There's another woman, and because this ended up on my in kind of a chain of videos, there's another woman who was trying to manifest a man, a perfect husband for herself. She was old. And she was trying to manifest somebody that was like perfect in every way, sounded like a Hollywood muscle man or something like that. It was embarrassing. Like, there was never, ever going to be a chance for that woman to find someone like that. And if everyone were to manifest, would that actually change anything? Or would you suddenly realize if everybody was able to manifest that everyone would be fighting over it? Interesting how a lot of people will try and manifest something to come to them, or the law of attraction. Notice my sarcasm with that. Somehow they're going to attract something great and wonderful. It doesn't happen. And that's what infuriates me about it, is that they're intentionally deceiving people. Maybe they don't even understand it, but they're deceiving people, and it's going to destroy so many folks. You know, let's just fill this in. It's just not looking good. There we go. Keep that deep orange color instead. So manifesting doesn't work. And what's infuriating is that there are people that are deceiving other folks willingly. And I do say that because I don't think that they understand. Sure, they might not understand that there is nothing to it, but a lot of them do. A lot of them do know what they're doing, and they don't seem to care. They're more interested in making money off of making their social media stuff. They don't actually believe it. They're acting like false prophets, trying to deceive people. Give me your money and I'll teach you the secret ways of the universe. Lies. It's a shame, really. We're in a culture right now that is so desperate to try and find hope. And they're being presented with a very stark reality that we've been presented with an understanding that we've been living in a world of lies. Manifesting is a lie. And there are people, well, that won't know the truth until it is far too late. You can warn them all day long. Doesn't mean they'll listen. And you can try and you can point in a direction and say, see that over there? There's a giant cliff. There's a sound of a river. It's going towards there. Do not get on that river. It will send you over the falls, and you will perish. And people are getting to the river saying, we want to travel down this river. Obviously, this will take us to the ocean. Maybe it might take you to a lake. But either way, it's going to take you down a dangerous path. Don't do it. People are getting hurt on it. And folks are not listening. People are so desperate for success, for purpose, that they're willing to turn to this paganism in order to try and achieve it. Oh, I just didn't wish hard enough. That's why I didn't get my millions. Oh, I didn't dream big enough, and that's why my job got stagnant. Oh, I didn't wish hard enough. I didn't do my ritual well enough. This stuff does not help. And too many people learn that at the very, very end. Some of them never do. But some people only learn it at the very, very end. It's kind of weird to think about that there are some people, they can go through their entire life believing a lie. And then, this is what really gets me, and then they have a chance to try and help the next generation and say, hey, don't do it. Don't do it. I believe the lie. Don't go down this path. No, they don't do that. They instead say, oh, it's so transformative. Oh, I was not successful, but you can be. You can manifest it. You can dream it. It's like, no, that's just perpetuating the lie. It's just taking the lie and cursing the next generation with it. Think about that. The next generation may suffer the exact same consequence. Manifesting has become a very popular thing in the modern era. And YouTube is covered with this stuff. And I've noticed a lot of streamers doing this too. They're just going to manifest something. And they're telling their audience to do it. This is one of the only places you're going to find on the web where you're going to hear warning signs against that sort of stuff. Now, granted, there are other people out there that are doing it, but this is one of the only ones that kind of addresses the matter addresses it in a way that tries to incorporate I won't go there. This channel is dedicated to trying to convey truth, wisdom, entertainment, yes, stories, yes, but the most important thing to pass on is wisdom. If I fail at everything else but succeed on passing on wisdom and helping to encourage people in their faith, then that is considered a success. That's the most important thing that you can do. Not manifesting something. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad to be successful. I mean, we all want to be successful. How you try to go about doing that, though, that changes its purpose. I want to be successful because I have some stories I really want to tell, because I think that there are some great ways to reach people through it. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I'm not going to try and go out and manifest it. I'll work on it. But I'm not going to just sit down and say, I'm just going to wait for the stuff fall into my hands. I'm going to take some responsibility. And I'm also going to say, you know what? I'm not going to force it. It is God's to decide what he wants to do. You won't hear a whole lot of people that are teaching about the manifesting. They won't talk about humility or the importance of being content. Again, this wasn't even on my radar until recently. And I've met some of these people. Not many, but I have met some of these people in the past. And some of them are, they are making some big life decisions, all based upon this concept. Now we're going to revisit this subject in the future, but this is like the preliminary thing. It is going to be raised again after I do a little bit more research. But I am starting to wonder how many people are these charlatans trying to come along and push people down this path. Hey, greetings there, Aaron. What are you up to? By the way, folks, I got, so I've been, I'll save that part for a little bit, but I've been offline a bit over the last few days. And I'm going to try and, spend a lot more time next week streaming again. But a lot of it was in preparation for the first publication I did on Castercraft. Now, the first publication is like, it took a long time to figure out. In the majority of the time was just to get the whole tool set up. The reason why is because I have many more things I want to put onto there. And I needed a way to do publications without having to go through a third party, because I'm just so sick of all the trackers, of all the shenanigans that they're doing, all the theft. And so I just wanted to try and find another solution. Just build it myself. See how hard it was. Well, it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. But I finally did get it there, and I almost have a comment section built as well. It will have something where you don't need an account right now to do the comment, although I probably need to lock it down. But right now it's a like-dislike option. People have the ability to read the story, like and dislike it, regardless of whether or not you have an account. But I do need to figure out how to do the comments this weekend, because it's almost there. But anyway, I took some time off this last week and a half to get this thing finalized. It was multiple months to try and get this thing squared away. In fact, it took from November last year until last week to actually get it done. Now, granted, there's a lot of time in between, but still, it took a long time to do. Now that it's completed, though, I have a lot more stories I'm going to be writing to put on there. Right now, I'm working on Milo as the next project. But there might be an in-between one, because Milo is a big project, and it may take a while longer for that one to be finished. And there's a much shorter story that I can put out there right now. Or maybe I can also put some stuff on there that I wrote in the past that I've been meaning to just kind of share with folks and see what they think. I won't post everything, of course, because that would... I don't want to so to speak, overstay my welcome with a lot of folks. I want them to be able to come over, find something that they can learn from, something to enjoy, and then just kind of wait for the next bigger thing. I don't want them to say, oh, look, we're going to come over to see just every last little thing that Jeff puts out there. So we'll see. Hey, greetings there, Jersey. How you doing? But anyway, I got a neat little thing I'm going to be doing, though, in relation to some of these written products on the website. And I got a neat little thing I kind of wanted to do for that, so people can be able to find it quickly, and so it can be something I can share with folks. So I'll be showing that here probably this weekend, because I already have it made, and I just have to have it finalized. But it's going to be a pretty neat little thing. And we're using this lighting to also kind of add some texture to this. Texture is everything. And so far, I'm liking, based upon what happened down here, I'm just going to treat it more like a texture instead of like actual normal highlights. I was going to do the texture later on, but this is already proven to kind of do the job. I'm finishing another drawing. Very nice. So if someone wants to actually have some of the collectibles that we're making, that I've been making for the channel, those exist, but I've not figured out a way how to put them out there yet, because I don't want to go through I paid system to try and do it. And so I have enough to where in a couple of weeks, I'm going to try and get my old mailing address set up again so I can be able to send some of the stuff out. There are a couple of collector's items, of which is like the sticker that I showed people a while back. So I got some stickers, but I also have some other things as well. And once those other things are squared away, that's when I'll open up the mailbox again, and I'll try and figure out that whole ordeal. I don't want to open it up again just yet. I gave that a shot last year. Sorry, not last year, 2 years ago, and it was expensive, and it didn't actually pan out the way that I was kind of hoping it would. The interest in it waned immediately, and I realized I didn't have enough products to put into it to really justify it. And when I say products, I mean like little giveaway items like the stickers, like some of the other stuff I'm doing. They're all giveaways right now. There's a couple of things you could technically purchase. This channel's not big enough for that. So right now they're all just giveaways for people that have the channel points or whatnot. Gotta say, I'm so very relieved to just finally have Pharaoh and the Smith done. That was becoming too stressful. Like, for the amount of story that I originally set out to do, it was proving to be incredibly stressful. Just because I was second guessing every last sentence. I went over it again and again and again, trying to make sure that I didn't mess up. It's the first. First things are never your best. It's always an experiment, and I wanted to try and avoid some of the pitfalls others have found so badly. I think that I probably overstressed it. But I'm so glad to finally be done with that and to be able to move on to the next project, because that one took way too long. I don't know if it'll ever quite I don't know if the I'd sent it to a couple of folks to look at. I don't know how far the story's going to go. That's not the point. The goal was just to learn the writing process from start to finish, and then to just kind of let it grow as it does, without any real input from myself. It's just supposed to go out there and then kind of see what happens, who connects with it and who doesn't. There's one last thing I'm going to be doing for the that I kind of need to do for the story, though, for Pharaoh and the Smith before I leave it completely. And that is, I want to try and... I'm probably going to end up using it in a survey test. That probably won't happen immediately. That will probably happen around this fall. Late fall, early winter. Which, Alaska, that's not far away. But I mean, like, kind of nationally. And so it's going to be, there's going to be one other time that I kind of bring it back, but for the most part I want it to kind of just take back seat now, as I move on to the next thing. Which raises the question of the projects that are coming out, which one to kind of focus on. Because I do realize that a lot of the projects that kind of were put into production, that the people that were interested in it have kind of moved on. And so it's one of the problems of taking forever to do things like I do. They've already moved on, as far as I can tell. And so now I have to try and figure out kind of a new approach to some of this stuff. And so thus I'm going to be taking into account the need to change things up. It's one of the reasons why we got rid of the game streams. For 3 years, we had people that were really big into the gaming stuff. That audience seems to have faded out a bit. They're still around every now and again, but we used to have dozens of people that were kind of interested in that stuff, and so thus I brought it back for a time, and now it's gone into a hiatus until there is that need again. But I wonder if there's something else that folks have an interest in. And that I'm not entirely certain about. What it is that is like the real big interest for folks these days. There's some folks, they will spend a fortune trying to survey groups. And I don't want to try and do something like that. I like everything just being kind of down to earth. And for the most part, people just kind of want whatever it is that you give them. And I don't have a problem with that. But I kind of wonder how many times the things I end up making actually have an interest to folks in the same way that it has an interest to me. Because, for example, this story of Milo, I have an interest in it, but the people that have an interest in it have changed in many ways. And so maybe that's not something that people have a great interest for. But right now it's been my main focus because there was an incredible amount of interest in it back in the day. And while I still want to tell the story, it may have to be that the bigger story gets put on the shelf in favor of my other big story. But I don't know. There's a lot of guesswork when it comes to this sort of stuff. I'm not a standard creator in terms of what the internet has come to know. I'm very simple in that sense. I want... There's some things I'm trying to do that I know for a fact that things like the algorithm will never favor, which, by the way, that's one of the reasons why these streams never got huge, because I don't know how to play the algorithm, and even though I did for a time, I chose deliberately not to. But anyway, all that to say, I'm trying to figure out what is going to be next after things like the Lego stuff is finished. After stuff like Milo and the Demon Bear is finished. And, well, I kind of wonder if Milo and the Demon Bear is actually going to... The best way to put it out there, I actually kind of think about it, because it would have to be a book that I sold, and I don't know how to do it effectively. And so there's so many questions I'm going to have over this coming year. It's going to be interesting. Sorry, this has just been me rambling, but that's typical. I know people that come to these streams are usually familiar with it at this point. I did get a notification about maybe I should try and advertise Farron the Smith, but it doesn't make me any revenue, so it's like, nah, there's not a whole lot of motivation to try and do it, because then you just draw bots to yourself. I probably need to do a short ad campaign, and I hate ads too, so it's not like I'm super excited to try and do that. It kind of makes me feel sick to my stomach, honestly. But I might have to try something like that. Just because all the social media platforms have become so focused on that sort of stuff. I gotta remember also to give Milo here some gray hairs. He's in his late 40s in the story, early 50s. He's an older fella, and up until this point, I don't really have a way of showing that other than wrinkles, but wrinkles take a whole lot of time to try and draw, so I was just kind of trying to avoid that and trying to just give him gray hair instead. Might have to give him some wrinkles, because he looks too young here. These gray hairs will be toned back, just so they blend a little bit better. Actually, it kind of looks like moonlight instead. Actually, I kind of do need to have that sort of a shine. So let me add that, and I'll add the silver hairs later. Added a lot of detail. People live that long. Yeah. So back in the back in the early 1900s, there was one of the oldest men in the country who was brought onto a TV show, and this is one of the first recordings we have of such a person. This guy was 120, I think, or maybe 130. And I'm going to say 120. He was standing. He was having dialogue with the person on the stage. He was fit. He looked normal. He looked like somebody in his early to mid-60s. And he was old. Super old. And that was somebody who used to live on the frontier. Think about it today. how few people actually live to that age. And if they do, they're usually in like a wheelchair or they're bedridden. May the Lord spare me from a situation like that. But anyway, this guy was fit, had a massive family, and it was just very shocking to see. Nowadays, we fill ourselves with a lot of poison in our food sources. We can thank our rich elites for that. It's a shame, really. People used to live far healthier, and then our elites came along and like, hey, we can make a fast buck if we poison everybody. Sick people. This light in the background is turning out way better than I had hoped. Really dramatic. It'll be easy to get old now. So many medical. It would be easy to get old now. So many medical advancements. Isn't it weird? All of our medical advancements, and people still are suffering more and more. Think about that. People back in the olden days believed that a hard life in your youth made your old years stronger. Now we're so very coddled by ease of living. I'm sitting. I sit most of my day. I hate it. But that's how we work now. We're sitting or we're standing. We're not laboring. And when we get to old age, our bodies are weak. And we have all these medical advancements that are supposed to help extend our life. Everybody I have seen that has started down that path of medical solutions, every last one of them doesn't end well. I've yet to hear a story of somebody that it ended up well. That's a tough one. I'm not saving up money for my retirement or for medical bills in my old age. I don't believe that it will actually help me. As such, my savings are going to eventually be passed on to my descendants, if there's any savings to be left based upon our economy. It's not meant to be for me. It's not meant to be for retirement. It's meant to be passed on. And that is what I will be doing with it. Assuming I actually have that. Otherwise, it'll just go to other relatives or whatnot. But it is something interesting that so many people, they save up for themselves. They save up for retirement. They save up for a life of luxury. The one luxury we should all be saving up for is heaven. And that takes a spiritual currency, so to speak. We're storing up for ourselves treasures in heaven. Treasures on this earth are going to wane fast, and they do not actually fulfill. It doesn't make life any easier. It makes it, in many ways, more difficult. I'd rather have my life in my old age be full of purpose and work than luxury. Because luxury, as I have seen when I was working at Disney, luxury for people in their old age usually looks like, I hate to say it, but people that are on their deathbed, waiting for the money to run out, waiting for the bodies to finally give up. They don't have purpose. They don't have drive anymore. They look like they're just waiting for the end. And that's so sad. I would rather be making a difference in my old age. Sure, you may be tired in your old age. We all will get tired. But I'd rather live a life that is helping others rather than helping myself. That's my goal. That to me is my dream. My dream retirement is not to have this fancy home. It's not to have like a fancy yacht. It's to be, honestly, in the mission field. That's my dream retirement. Being helpful. Being of service. You know, that whole concept is actually one of the main points of Milo's adventures. He's an older man who finds kind of a second wind, a new drive, a new purpose. He's not a super old man. He's just old enough to where he can start to see the writing on the wall, so to speak. And he still chooses to try and end doing good. Now, we don't have to wait till we're old to start doing good. We don't have to wait until life is perfect for us to do good. What we have to wait for is for the right heart to do good. Because just doing good for the sake of it, we may actually be doing harm because we don't understand what it is that we're doing. And so not everyone's going to get to have that sense of purpose right away. I think that a lot of us are meant to be taught and to grow. And when we're ready, that's when God will give us the opportunity to naturally start to lean into that. If we have the right heart, it will come naturally. There was an old man that I remember hearing a story about. He had a friend of his who was an atheist. He was a minister, and he had this atheist friend who resisted the gospel every step of the way. And the priest would ask him again and again, saying, you do understand, I'm trying to help save your soul. And the atheist responded with that he knows he just has chosen a path of sin, and he didn't want to change from that. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because there are some people down deep that are so steeped in sin, they don't want to leave it. And so if they try and do good, many times it can feel ineffective, or it may feel like everything is kind of being sabotaged. And in the end, it's because there is something else that's holding them back. or there's somebody that is not ready to hear. Milo's somebody who, in his youth, he thinks that he's ready to do good, and he acts based upon the ethics that he has, and he thinks that they're right. And he learns the hard way that he is actually in the wrong, and it shell shocks him to the point of where he just kind of gives up. That's where the second wind kind of comes into play. That's why the story really begins when he's older, after he's already experienced discouragement. And I was inspired from it actually based upon a man that I actually met. Somebody who spent his youth living one way, and then as he came to his older years, he finally snapped out of it. And he thought, well, I've wasted my life. There's nothing that I can do that can kind of make up for the years that were lost. And surprise, surprise, God actually gave him a completely new life, a whole new set of purposes and drives. And he went from feeling like all he had to do was retire and there's nothing else he could do, to the point of where he was like, by gum, I have all sorts of great ideas. I'm going to start acting on it right here, right now. And he actually has made an incredible difference. What he did with the last 10 years of his life, 10, 20 years of his life, was greater than all his other years combined. That was somebody who got a second wind, who got a second chance. Just like the Bible said, he had his youth renewed because God wasn't done with him. It's amazing how just a little outline can just change the feel of a drawing before and after. Transforms it so much. We're going to try some different blend modes though, see what it looks like. For now, we'll leave it on normal, because actually it's a little bit softer, so that way it doesn't stand out too much. Dang, Milo actually looks just about finished. I'll do the silver hair later on. First, I'm going to put in some wrinkles. Forgot about those again. Yeah, it's kind of the story with everything we do. We're always forgetting stuff. I don't want it to be too much. It's just more suggestive of his age. Now, my grandfather was actually a pioneer to Alaska. And a lot of Milo's story is actually kind of inspired off of some of the things that not necessarily he himself experienced, but things that I heard about from people that had been pioneers. I've been reading this book to try and get a better perspective on the Arctic and how the Klondike Gold Rush was like and what it was like for people that were pioneers to the state, because it's going to serve as inspiration for a lot of Milo's future stories. It won't be necessarily exactly in line with history, but it will be pretty darn close at times. There's some mythology that will be brought up. There will be some superstitions that were believed at the time. There's going to be some history that people know about and some history that folks probably have no inkling about. And that is part of trying to fill out a complex narrative. Hopefully it comes across correctly. We will wait and see, of course. Okay, that's looking a lot closer to what I want it to be. Let's come back here. Wrinkles. Okay, we'll put this in the same area here. Okay, white strands of hair. These hairs are going to be little all over the place because we don't want them to be. Actually, wait a minute. Let's move this over top. They're not supposed to be perfect hairs. The reason why I kind of am realizing that they're going to be kind of unruly is because I myself have a couple of white hairs that are starting to appear, and they are very uncooperative. They're the ones that want to stick up and refuse to kind of lay down and be properly tangled with the with the rest of the hairs. Now this may need to just be toned back, though, all the same. Now we don't want this to mesh with the, to blend in with the lighting in the back, so we're going to actually yellow this a little bit, just because we want to be lit up by the fire, and that will naturally make it have a slightly orangish yellow tint. Then we're going to fade out the majority of it, and then just leave in a couple of the tighter strands. And this is an experiment. It may work, may not. This is a technique that I did a couple of months back, so you will see if it works this time. Does the word Klondike mean anything? I've heard and seen it a few times, but I have no idea what it means. So the Klondike is a region that is in eastern Alaska. Sorry, a second. Okay. It's an area that is in the eastern part of Alaska, western portion of Canada. It's a territory that is known for being the gold fields of the 1890s gold rush that took place up here in Alaska. It is a region that is surrounded the Klondike River in particular. Now, Klondike is I don't know where the origins of it came from. I think it's probably Russian. It might, well, actually, wait a minute. It's probably more Native Alaskan. Let me take a quick look here. Okay, yeah. Looks like it might be inspired from Gwinichin, which is a tribe, meaning father brother. Interesting. But yes, it is a river that was filled with gold, and it one of the most fantastic gold rushes in history. It's kind of like when people say, let's see here. The Klondike is kind of interchangeable with the Yukon or with regions of Alaska because it was just part of that territory. A lot of areas in Alaska got some weird names.
There was there was a Circle City. There was Mile 40 something. They were kind of bizarre names. Klondike was one of the ones that actually made sense in many ways. Some of these loose strands are going to get the white treatment here. That's a little too loose here. Let's group them up down here. Because while it would be nice to have them kind of all over the place, it looks a little odd. Yeah, kind of like just the snowy tips, you could say. A lot of people came up to Alaska during the gold rush, and a lot of them became permanent residents, of which was my grandfather. Now, he came towards the tail end of it, and so thus he didn't necessarily make it rich or anything. Very few people actually got rich, period. Think about that. You come to a territory, middle of nowhere, and you end up not making anything. You might start to wonder why you even made the journey. There we go. Okay, that's good. And we'll just kind of leave that part there. You know, we'll just touch up Milo's eyes here, and then we will move on to the next portion here. I find it interesting getting to do reflections in characters' eyes, because there's a lot of story you can put into it. Now, I don't do it a whole lot, but there's some really neat things you could do with it, and no one will know until they like zoom in really close, and then they get a chance to see. I've sent my artwork on your Discord. It would be cool if you could do some feedback again later. I'm just clueless how to finish it better, as it looks too plain for me. I feel like it's a step down in quality from the previous art. Maybe dark setting is just easier to draw. So you've probably started to encounter a very common problem, of which do not be discouraged by it. This is actually, if that is indeed the case, there is actually a reason for that. We will cover that in about 30 minutes. So yeah, we'll take a look at it in about 30 minutes as I start to wrap this up. So there's some neat things that I could do with the eyes right here. One of them is that you have to try and get the actual lighting put in there. So we have the main focus right here of the flames. We're actually going to offset a little bit because we want to have something else in the background. Something to show. Something to show hope in the future. And this is actually very symbolic. Now, I'm not showing who he's talking to in this scene right here, mostly because I cannot figure out myself who it's going to be. But there is a character around this time frame that is going to be someone who points him back to truth. And so that is going to be right there. We're actually going to fade it out a bit because we just want there to be the faintest sort of imagery that it is there, but that it feels overpowered from the reflection of his own past to where it's becoming a distraction from where he should be going. Where is the option? Here we go. Background. So now we're going to keep that back here, come in, and now do the eyes as kind of like a normal sort of fashion. Actually, let me get the outline for this. Mask it. Put that in a folder. Put the eyes in the folder as well. Put in the background. Hide that for the time being. Let's just get this process figured out first. Next we want to have highlights, but this is going to be orangish because of the firelight. Now soften it up with a bit of a blue. Just kind of keep going back and forth with this until it feels natural. Because now we've got to try and merge these elements together. Select from all layers, grab that. Nope. We want deselect. Which is this? Okay, so it was on there. There we go. Back here, and we're going to just delete that center. I'm going to do some individual highlights. Do some eye shine. Just tone it back. We don't want it to have kind of we don't want it to be an anime sort of eye. We want this to be just a bit more natural looking. Aha! There's nothing in the sky, so obviously it has to be down here only. How are you so good at managing layers? Lots and lots of practice. I'm still a learning in the process. Now we have this, we can be able to shrink our story down to about there. Bring it across back just a little bit more since we got it shrunk. Okay, now we got to darken that center. So we're going to come in here. We're just going to manually do this. Golly. See, Jersey, your strategy is not bad. A lot of people do that. And if you remember, I actually mentioned that as a strategy a while back. It's not bad to have that strategy. I do it in this manner because I've had plenty of years to experiment, and I find that I kind of lean towards this sort of style. If I was a real pro, I would be collapsing everything and drawing it over and over again. That's what a real pro does. A pro doesn't have it in all these layers. That's what an amateur does. And I'm not saying that... I'm not saying that without the realization that I'm saying I'm an amateur. I am. I'm making the same mistakes over and over again. Don't let it stress you too much. You have to find your own style. And your own style will be different from someone else's. Okay. Got that ready. We can move this on over. Let's see here. Duplicate layers. It's intriguing to me, all the different techniques people have. Okay, what did I mess up here? Oh, that's right. I have to duplicate this eye as well. Keep original. I did a piece of artwork a while back when I was getting started and with a tablet, and I was trying to duplicate a drawing that I had seen before, and it did not go so well. It took me a long time to get it figured out. There, that way now if somebody zooms in, we can see a little bit more to his story. Right now we just see his pain, and you look in and you see there's something else. Wait a minute. There is something else here as well. Aha. This got altered in its color. There we go. Okay, so that part is completed. Oh, that's another thing right there. Let's come in and let's find the belt. I've lost track of where it is. There we go. Change it to just gray. Make it reflective. Just a thin little bit of white. There we go. You know, we're actually going to call this bit done for the evening. We got a whole lot done. Milo now has texture. He now has lighting. And that was a big upgrade. So we're going to close this part out, and we'll take a look at what Jersey had. All right, let's see here. I'm still wondering if I should stick with no line art or a little hybrid, as line art gives the drawing the clean feeling. I like semi-realism too. Maybe I'm not yet skilled enough to do it. Still much appreciated. Okay, so let's save this here. Save image. Where'd it go? Here we go. All right, put this over here in the tutorial section, teaching. Okay, got it there. And close this out over here. And open up. Open file location. There we go. Okay. Good improvements. You may not have felt like this was an improvement. This is an improvement. Just not in everything. In some areas it started to backslide a little bit. But that's perfectly fine. You're growing something else. You're growing other skills. Right here, your headlamps look so much better. Your vests are looking so much better. Your texture, look at this. Look at how this is turning out. This actually does look good. The blotchiness, that's part of the style. That's not a bad thing. Now, there is one thing though that could be built up, and that is, again, the contact shadows. So right here, one of the things that you can be able to do is to help add some distinction between your characters right here. Turn that on to multiply. Actually, I should have just used the lasso tool for this one. So by helping to add some distinction for that, one of the ways you can do this is actually something that I learned a while back. And that is for a character overall, because right now you have it good where things are shaded for individual areas. This part is not taught as much. Okay, this next part's not taught as much. It's overall shading. So we're going to grab everything that is in the green category. Let's tone this back. Just going to use the wand selection tool here. We're just going to grab this whole area. This part took me years to figure out because no one told me that this was a possibility, that this was like an actual technique that should have been done. So don't think that that this should have been obvious. It's not. A lot of people avoid this part as a whole just because it's, I don't know why. It's like they already know it so much that they don't bother to teach it. Okay, so we're going to come up here. Going to make that into our mask here. this is what they will do. Let's come back and put this onto normal so you can see better what's happening. Notice what I'm doing here. I'm covering this thing overall. I'm not doing any sort of real hardcore details. I'm just doing general sort of gradient between the two sides. Maybe adding another slight color down here. And now, if I turn on a different blending mode, let's go with hard light for this one. Okay, that's maybe a little too strong. Let's come back to soft light. Okay, this is without, this is with. Notice what that does. It starts to change where the center of the lighting is. And that helps your character to stand out a little bit more. Now, there's better ways to try and do this exact same thing, but this is a subtle little thing in which you can be able to have kind of a direction for the overall lighting. Now, maybe you want to just have this on a multiply and tone that back. That can help out as well. Some people might want to just have the lighting side. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this into a folder here. We're going to have two layers, one multiply and one as a glow. Multiply. We want this one to be through. There we go. Let's add in kind of a more neon color over here. So we're just going to touch up a couple areas over here. Maybe the edges, like that. So we just added a little bit extra dimension. It may not seem like a whole lot, but when you start to do this to your different elements, everything starts to stand out a little bit more. Another thing to notice is when you have values that are very similar. This right here, where the teeth are kind of like that, it's very similar to the lips up top. So again, we want to have some sort of color difference between the two. So we're just going to come in here, and why is that not? Oh yeah, that's why. Just going to go along the top and the bottom. And notice how very simple that was, and it helps the teeth to stand out so much more. This is with, and this is without. This one makes it look like the teeth and the lips are part of the same, are one and the same. This helps it to stand out just a tad bit. And you don't have to outline the entire thing. You might have to just outline a couple of different elements. That can help. Lighting is hard. I guess I should stick with dark settings more, as you can hide imperfections with shadows easier. But I'll definitely experiment with brighter settings. This is not bad. This is not bad. Lighting may be a bit of a challenge. Dark is easier. I will say that. It is much easier. You can hide a lot. But once you start getting the hang of doing things in the light, it becomes not as intimidating. And it's good to practice both of them. Always good to practice both. Just by doing a couple of hard lines as well, it can just help out a tad bit. But overall it's turning out well. Right here, I'd probably put in like maybe something like that, so it separates. No, that's not necessary. But overall, there's a couple of things that you got really well. The fingers turned out really nice for this, and the hands. The position of their gear turned out really well. Now, one of the things you will want to experiment with, and that is, this is debatable. You don't have to do this because you have your own style. But when I'm trying to do things, I many times will try and turn up the stabilization. And so doing things that are going to help just to smooth out some of these elements. You can do this as a style, but your style also is going to be perfectly acceptable. Some people are going to like that sort of look. One last thing you can do is, just like we mentioned about last time, is to just come in and focus on areas where there are kind of like crevices or stronger contact points, like right in here. The helmet's going to have a darker, let's actually reduce that saturation there. It's going to be darker inside there than it will be on the surface. So making sure to have that sort of thing. But overall, that's a lot of good improvement. You're going to notice that a lot of your artwork at this point is going to become a coin toss. Some of it will turn out good, others not so good. But that is part of the process of trying to perfect everything. You took a lot of the ideas that I mentioned about and you incorporated it into this. You have two characters. You have a background. You're getting your lighting and your texturing down really well. But yeah, that at this point, this is something you could share with very few problems. Everything at this point is all about refinement. And so refinement is the majority of the challenge. When you design something, trying to get it to be nice and super clean, that takes a lot of effort. Think how long I've been drawing on the Milo image. Think how many hours I've been putting into that. It's not done yet. So the fact that you're able to churn these things out as fast as you are doing is commendable. Do you need to refine all the details? In my personal opinion, yeah, it's worth doing, but it's not a must. Overall, they're still improving, and that's good enough. The background, I think, is actually really good for what you have. I wouldn't stress about the background for this one. This one turned out really good. If you were just to fix some of your contact areas and refine some of the lines, some of the shapes, I think you're almost to the point of where, you can be able to actually show this as like and people actually looking at it and saying, oh, that could have been from concept art that Nintendo had done. You're almost at that point. There's a couple of things that you will want to work on just from a concept sort of idea. And now this is where things start to get a little bit more nitpicky. I look at this shape right here, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to figure out what this shape is right here. Okay, let me change this to red. What this shape is right here. This is the part where you're going to want to work on at this point going on. Stylizing, debatable if you need to go much further. Lighting, not too much of a strain. You're going to want to try and make sure that some of your elements are clear. Because we have a couple of things right here that I'm not entirely sure what they are. And with a little bit of refinement, you can be able to make those things stand out all the better. So try and focus on that next time. Try and focus on coming to some of these areas like right here and just add a little bit of extra definition so as to make the item itself stand out and make it a little bit clearer what it is that you're looking at. Because like right up here, for example, this area right here is nice and clear, as is the headlamp. But some of the straps around the face could probably use that same level of care. But overall, good improvements. I didn't realize 2 characters that meant double the work. Yeah, yes, it does. Actually, it's more like 1.5% of the work, because the second character doesn't take nearly as much time, or at least once you get up to speed. It's supposed to be a microphone. They have a single ear headset. Ah, yes. But yeah, so having a little bit more definition on that will make it stand out all the better. Because besides that, again, everything else turned out really nice. Like, I love this gear down here. Like, that actually having the straps the way that you do in the attachments, they turn out well. You even have like writing in there. So yeah. Very, very nice. Like this, but with line art, it's debatable. It depends upon what sort of stuff you're trying to gun for. So let's say, for example, we want to have a microphone right here. Let's turn this item right here into a microphone. Let's come in here and just paint over this. And then we'll do a very quick microphone. Okay, so let's say we're going to figure out the overall design. Let's start off by filling the background with a... no, not supposed to be like that. Only editing layer. Okay, let's fill it in with a gray background so that way it stands out a little bit better. We're going to start off by figuring out the proper overall structure. Now, because this is a mechanical part, we're going to want to try and figure out the dimensions of it in the overall structure. So we wanted to have it come out and maybe loop back in. I'm creating these oval shapes because that tells me like what sort of structure I want this mic to have. Now I'm going to come in, fill in the lines a little bit more. So this is going to be the rod that comes out. We're making a bit of a flatter one just because I kind of think that would be a neat design. Not because it's like stylized of anything I'm looking at. Just because it will help to show like how to come up with interesting dimensions. So now I want to add some structure to this. Some shading to this structure. So we're going to start off by just kind of highlighting the upper edge. Drag it down a little bit and do something that's a little bit darker, but same sort of thing. It's going to be on this side. And then we want some sort of mic out here. So we're going to start off by just putting out this right here. And then we're going to add in a little bit of a halftone. So that way, no, let's try and make that halftone smaller. Where's like where is that halftone brush that I had? It's the tiny halftone. Here we go. Should be it. Wow, that's... Nope, that's the wrong size. Why are they all so big? Okay, well, we'll just create our own texture here. Come in here and give it a little bit of a hashing. Nothing too special. Just enough to where we can tell there's, you know, something interesting there. It's something that is something that has a texture. It's supposed to be on the one on the left. Oh, my bad. Yeah, it will still convey the same concept here. All right, let's come in here and let's use an oil brush just for the sake of it, because I kind of think that could help out a little bit here. Just going to highlight this top. Oh. Because this is an oil brush, it doesn't really destroy the kind of light edge, thankfully. All right, let's hide that. And now we have a mic that starts to stand out a little bit clearer. Notice it's not like super high quality, but it's enough to where you start to know, okay, so that's a structure that's supposed to be on the face. Whereas this becomes a little bit more difficult to try and figure out. But that helps it just to stand out clearer. So anyway, something to think about for your as you prepare for your next drawing. But overall, you are doing a lot of improvements, and you are growing fast in your skills. Do not forget where you came from. Okay? That's something to always remember. Remember, this was not that long ago. This was basically a month and a half ago. Look at the difference in your quality. You've come a long ways in a very short amount of time. So yeah, well done. Keep up the good work. Okay, so we're going to be bringing this to a close. There's nobody on the Rumble side, so thus there is no reason to raid over there. So that means we are just going to be bringing this stream to a close. It feels like a hit stagnation period. That's going to happen. That's definitely going to happen. Every artist will have moments like that. Anyway, we're going to be calling it there, folks. Thanks for coming by, and hopefully you found something interesting in all this. If you did, consider liking or disliking the stream. I'll accept either. It means that at least you're flesh and blood, and not likely a bot. Which, I can tell there's one person on the Rumble side tonight that is like the stream. I guess that was our real person for the evening. But, alright. What the heck? Okay, disregard that. We're going to ignore it. Something weird just happened. Alright. That's it. We're calling it right there. Have a pleasant evening and morning, everybody. Just a reminder, be civil to one another. We're going to be talking about civility very soon. There's something tonight that we need to cover. We'll save that for the next stream, though. Until next time, folks, have a very pleasant evening.